Welcome back, everybody. Here we are for another chess game, and let's just get right on to it. As we discussed previously, a handful of these games are going to start off just like this. And was it here? Yeah, here. Here's where it starts off. And like I said, a few times people take with the horse, but in this game, we'll see somebody take with the bishop. And this is the situation that my game started in when I loaded it up, and I was like, well, this gives me a couple of different options. Well, I guess first off, why would somebody take with the bishop instead of with the knight? If we go back and take a look at it, the knight is the premier, or the more common, premier is the wrong word, the more common instance to capture with, simply because it looks more threatening with the major fork going on, and you think, oh, okay, I get a pawn, and then I get the exchange, and that's fantastic. Whereas the bishop, you get a pawn, and you get check, which, I mean, maybe that's something. So it's one of those things where it doesn't look as flashy or as powerful to lower level players who often go for fried liver, and that's why you don't really see it that often. Honestly, until this tournament, whatever you want to call it, started, I had never seen it either. So I had to do a bunch of research into all the variants that I could find or that I felt like looking at, to kind of see like where did this come from and why. So as we proceed through, it gives us a couple of different options. Obviously, we have to move our king since we can't take the bishop, so I can either block in my own rook, which is potentially bad, or I can block in my own queen, which is also potentially bad. Neither one of them is very great in that regard. So yeah, he doesn't get as much compensation, but I'm forced to lose my castle, which prevents me from getting defense, and then I also inhibit my own development at the same time. And bishops can run away much easier than knights, so the chance of you, obviously after taking the rook with the knight, the chance of you getting that knight away and saving him is pretty slim to none. Yeah, sure, it's still worth it, you get the pawn and the rook, but the bishop can still hang around for later. And in higher level play, you want your pieces as long as you can have them, because if you don't have pieces, you can't do stuff, and you want to do stuff. So those are the main advantages. The bishop variant is considered slightly better, but it's better still to not even really get involved in this type of position at the first place. So I chose in this game that I'm gonna go move forward, because come late game, if everything is equal, my king will be one move closer to the center of the board than his will be, and that can potentially help me out. If it comes down to king and pawn versus king and pawn, I can bring my king over to the side with more pawns one move sooner than he'll be able to, and that could be the difference. It doesn't fully block in the queen either, so I'm thinking that if I can just start facing all of these guys toward his king side, I can just start coming crashing down, and everything will all be right there. Whereas if I block my rook in, then it's going to take me multiple more turns in the future to be able to get my rook out and use it. And at the expense of the queen being free, but the queen can't really do too much anyway. So I opted to go this route. I think I do both in a couple of these different games, but now it's up to him to decide where he wants to go. At this point, people always are going to move their bishop out of the way, and they really have three spots that they can run him away to. One of them obviously is a nice natural pivot square, one of them is the square he started on, and then one of them is a square that's just really far away, so he still keeps his control over the light squares without being directly able to be attacked. I guess I could move a knight over to the far corner and attack him, but that puts my knight in a bad spot. It wastes more of my time. And even then, if I wanted to take the trade, I'm losing even more time to capture it, just so that he can free up his rook and better his pawn position a little bit too. So it's not really worth it, even if they do go all the way back there. He opted to go right in the nice pivot square in the middle, putting pressure on this knight, though it's not that significant. It also gives me the tempting case of wanting to take said bishop, to which then he gets to advance his pawn with pressure on the knight, and then makes it very easy for him to defend it, and very difficult for me to get rid of it at that point as well. So it's it's not a trap per se, but if somebody were to take that, I believe it's considered pretty juicy. Yeah, as you can see, this just jumps way up there from the point 1 it was at. So you definitely don't want to do that. It's nice and enticing if white sees that. So anyway, there's a couple different things I could do here. I need to start getting some development. So I'm thinking of 3 different moves right now. One would be pushing this pawn so my bishop can get free. One would be moving my queen over to a more playable position. If I can get this queen on this line and start attacking some of his pieces, that'll be beneficial, plus it'll be right in his king's house. I could potentially move the rook, but I don't think I want the rook on that square just yet. It's too early. Rooks, you want to find out where they belong a little bit later in the game, depending on how things have opened up. I could also push the pawn, but I'm going to want to keep that horse there for a little bit longer until I can get some more attacks going. I don't want him to run away and be safe too early. I want to get my pieces out here and then kind of control when I run his knight away. Knights aren't supposed to flee, so I opt going with the queen first so that I can really just target this square, and eventually, pretty soon, maybe even next turn, I'll be pushing that, and it'll give me a theoretical possibility of defending my horse without doubling up my pawns if he wanted to take with his bishop, or giving me just a second outlet if things play out really weird. Maybe I prevent a castle or something along those lines. He castles early just so he can solidify his defense, and now, from his perspective, he's up the pawn. My defense is messed up. He just needs to play even chess from here. You know, he's nice and defended up. Yeah, he hasn't moved his pieces, but it's not very hard to move his pieces from here either. You know, in 3 moves, he'll be almost fully developed at that point. And certainly he can be in 5 moves, depending on how he wants to play this. So he's not really that far ahead, but he's also not exactly far behind in terms of position and development either. So he wants to just play it safe, and from now on just play clean and consistent. And it's up to me to figure out how do I overcome this minor deficit that I'm in. It might be a little slow. I'm not sure if I should have moved my queen first to start putting pressure on these pieces. At the same time, all he really has to do would be push that pawn, and then he not only defends the horse, but he defends that pawn if I'm trying to find out a way to see if I can't capture one of these back in return. So I opt to open up my bishop over here first, plus it gives me defense over that horse, and I'll get some opportunity to maybe chase his queen away. It's not really going to do much. He can just move it, but I guess if he's got 1 square to put a major piece on, so maybe I can slow him down a tiny bit, I suppose. So we'll see. He opts to push up his c-pawn, which blocks my knight a little bit from its 2 next best squares, but it also gives him the opportunity to go after my bishop and really kind of force it away. Granted, I would just end up moving it down, but then he's just 2 more moves away from me losing my bishop entirely if I don't do anything about it. So it gives him a little bit of flexibility. It does also open up a queen file, should he want to use that somewhere, and I decide I'm going to take this time to just straight up attack his queen. He can't push his pawn up and make a nice little defended chain because his pawn is pinned from my dark squared bishop. So it's going to force him into a couple of different things. He could move his queen here, he could move his queen somewhere in here, or he could bring his knight out to that square. To which, if he brings his knight out to that square, I'm not quite sure if that's something I would want to take or not, because that would allow his queen just to go right over here. I'm trying to find a way if there's something I can do to take one of these pieces, since he's made them so readily available to me. So I honestly, to be quite honest, I don't remember this move as far as what I was thinking at this point, and what I was hoping for, what I saw with his different options. I really don't remember it that well. He opts to go into here. It puts some extra defense on this piece. It gives his rooks a chance to be connected in just a couple of moves. And I don't know. I mean, it's not a terrible square for the queen to be. So he opts to move over in that direction. However, because of that, I am able to capitalize on things a little bit. Remember how I said I didn't want to move his knight away earlier in the game? Now is going to be a much better opportunity for me to do so. His knight's got a couple of squares he can hide out at right now. I guess he could hide. No, he can't really hide there. Because then my bishop can just take it, and my king is backing that could go there. I guess he could go here for the time being. It's not ideal, but he could. I'd be able to attack it, and then I would just trade pieces and go after it and get more pieces. So no, his knight doesn't really have great squares to run away to for the moment, and now that I got his queen off of this line, I mean, even if I guess if he moved his queen to the e-file on the dark square, the fact is that the queen is not defending this f-file square where his horse is going to want to run away to. So I chase after it now. Again, he doesn't have the best of squares. Oops. Doesn't really have the best of squares to go to, so he opts with the one that just looks most natural, most convenient, and it's not very good. Because this queen is no longer on this line, I'm going to trade that piece off now and open up a nice hole in his king side. And there's really nothing else that he could have done about it. So my queen is going to be very happy to capitalize on this, and I'm also kind of looking at something else right now. A couple moves ago I didn't remember what I was doing, but this move I do. I've got a nice little trap here that I could potentially, if he's bad, win his queen for free in just a couple, well, maybe not free, but for a couple minor pieces at worst, if he's not too careful. So I need to take the time that I've got now, get a free move, push this king over into the corner, and setting up a nice pin, I guess if you want to say, on this pawn. Granted, the pawn's defended, and it also can't advance, so I need to figure out a way to see if I can't get this pawn to move, which is very easy for me to do. Now I go ahead and take this bishop that he had a couple options earlier in the game where to run it away to, and he chose this nice pivot square. It's not a bad square, don't get me wrong, but it's no longer working in his advantage at this point in the game. So now that I've taken this bishop, he's kind of stuck, because he can't take this horse, even though he'd then be attacking another horse, because it would free up and I would take his queen, and that would pretty much just end the game. So now he's stuck a little bit. We made a trade here, but now I just kind of want a whole piece back. He takes his free time to attack after my queen and at least move things around a little bit. Plus, then I can't really continue my attack on this pawn. So he goes about it in a great way as far as defending it, just ignoring this whole thing. Remember how often I say if you're being attacked, you don't necessarily have to defend it if you either move the piece or you attack something of greater value instead, kind of deflect away from the offense a little bit. So he makes a great move with the rook to force my queen off of this line, and therefore he's able to recapture my horse and make up for it. So a couple different options. I am now able to recapture this pawn immediately, whereas this horse otherwise would have been stuck to running away to here had things not worked out in this way. So I could recapture immediately with the queen, or I could recapture right here, put him in check, and that'll give me time to go back and snag this one as well. So that's exactly what I do. I put him in check, and he's going to be forced now to pin his rook. So his rook is no longer playing. That actually saves this pawn, believe it or not, so that's kind of cool. Excuse me. And now I'm going to wheel on my way down. Wheel on my way down. That was awkward. Wheel on my way down, take this extra pawn, and I'm going to maintain this pin on this rook, on that king, as long as I possibly can. That is a significant pin. I just need to find a way to get some sort of pressure on there. My knight is very far away. This pawn is sure as hell not going to get there. So it's going to be tough, but I need to have something else attacking that and see if that can't lead to some good results here for me. He starts trying to play some offense, plays the development game. By pushing up this pawn, it frees up his dark square bishop. Granted, it doesn't have any good squares to go to. It does free it up so that it can move. It also frees up his queen for some opportunities as well, and it's defended to boot. He may have wanted to just push it once, I'm not quite sure. I will in fact take this trade, and he goes through with his open space now to put a check on my king. I probably should just run it away and then get one of my rooks involved, going after his queen, just like how he did over here when I had my queen attacking his king and he moved his rook over. I probably should do something like that, but I'm so focused on getting extra pressure on that rook up there that I opt to bring my knight over, because I want to get something getting over here. So I'm going to take that time to do that, and we see this bar go from significantly in my favor to being tied / slightly in his favor. So apparently this is a god-awful move. Apparently I should have just moved something on down there and stayed relatively status quo with where I was, but that is not what I opted to do. I opted to move the knight, and apparently that sucks. So that wasn't too kind for me from the computer, but I guess we can take a look and analyze that sometime later if you want to pause it and see if you can figure it out. I honestly didn't take time because I don't care to look at it now. When this game is over a month old, I'm not going to go back and research it. So I'll leave that to Cayman because I know he'll piece it apart, I'm sure. So I block it off, thinking that, hey, I liked my logic. I liked what that was thinking. Plus, I see this nice little major fork possibility, and I want to kind of work my way into getting there, maybe. Maybe go down here and go up there. Maybe there's other things I can do. Obviously, I'm going to have to move my king at some point. I probably should have just done it first, but I didn't, so sue me. Plus, then it makes the defense of this pawn slightly different. If you wanted to take that, my knight could have taken it and then immediately attack the queen. I don't know, whatever. So I moved my knight over. Apparently it was awful. He then takes the pawn. I take the pawn, no big deal. He now develops his horse, and all of a sudden my advantage that I just threw away is now completely back in my favor. I can kind of understand from his perspective. He hasn't moved this knight all game. It's undeveloped. My bishop is in a pretty decent square. I'm attacking this pawn, which is keeping his other bishop at bay, so he can't move it. Yeah, he can't move his bishop. He can't move the pawn because then I take the rook. So he figures I'm going to take this undeveloped piece that I haven't used all game long, and I'm going to make something happen with it. To sort of block this off and allow him to use other pieces, and I totally get that. And he's attacking my queen, which forces me to go after it, and then it removes that threat entirely. I don't know if that trade helps him out in the long run. It messes up his pawns a little bit. Granted, I've got the pawn majority here at this point anyway, 4-2, so it's not too big of a deal, but it isolates both of them. I suppose it frees up his bishop. It does give him some extra flexibility with his pieces. So, everything logically looks good with that. He traded a worthless piece and gained some extra space, but something with the computer really doesn't like it. I just threw away a big advantage of my own, and now he just threw a huge advantage my way, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't know. Logically, to me, it makes sense. He's got all this extra space now. The pieces are equal. I mean, two rooks, a queen, a knight for a bishop. Yeah, I've got a couple extra pawns, so simplifying the board isn't necessarily in his favor, but he was stuck otherwise. He couldn't use those pieces, so it's like they weren't there anyway. But whatever, them's the breaks, that's where he is. So now I take this turn to move my king over, which is probably what I should have done a long time ago, but I didn't. And that'll allow me to use my knight freely wherever I so choose. He pushes his pawn down to attack my knight. I guess he wants me to move it away somewhere. And I do have two squares that I would like to identify. If I go all the way down here, I'm then able to push pressure onto his pawn, and if I go up here, I'm able to again do so. The pawn is still defended by his bishop, so it's a little. I'm still gonna have to figure something out with that. It gives me an opportunity. Maybe he wants to do. I have no idea. Maybe he does something stupid. I don't want to say that I'm making moves hoping my opponent does something stupid, but it's more of like a latent attack than anything else. And in both places, my horse will be completely free, or completely safe, since this rook is in fact pinned. He wouldn't be able to take it from there, and then my queen will have the knight defended if I choose to go onto this d-file square instead. So I chose to advance forward, attack his bishop. Maybe by attacking his bishop, I can get him to move here or here, which would give me the opportunity to then take the pawn. As opposed to retreating backward, where I'm trying to get additional pressure going after this guy. At the same time, if I did go back, that would have given me just one more turn to attack the rook and get that extra pressure I needed, so maybe that wasn't smart. Maybe it wasn't the best way to go, because because obviously that's something I've been wanting to do all game long. It's kind of interesting how with the horse right here on e5, he's almost attacking a knight or a rook on g2, with me having essentially a free move to get away, and then I'm just one turn from making a big threat. It's kind of weird how horses seem to attack things like 3 moves away, you know, because once he's here, he's got one turn to find a way to respond to me attacking this rook by just moving straight up. And I guess it's just the nature of they can attack a piece without being attacked in return. Maybe that's what it is. But instead I opted to push forward. It might not have been the better square of the two. I'm not quite sure. He puts me in check, which it doesn't really change too much. It removes my possibility of getting a major fork on him here, but I'm just putting my queen more in the center, easier to win this pawn battle. Obviously 4-2 I already will, but even easier since his king is forever and a half away than it would be otherwise. My king is now completely safe. He's on a light square. He's surrounded by some pawns, so I'm not too worried about that. This pawn right here, this g7 pawn, is poison. If he takes this pawn, he's going to be in deep crap. All I have to do is move a rook over, and then I'm attacking his major pieces. He can't take it with his queen, because I'll move over, take his queen, and with this still being pinned, he won't be able to. It's essentially not being defended. And if he moves his queen out of the way, should I be attacking this file, well, then I just win the game. So it's really poison, and therefore I don't respond to this quote-unquote free pawn all game long. I want it to sit there as long as I can. He develops his bishop a little bit. It's not the greatest square in the world. It's like, hey, see, I'm still defending this pawn just in case you forgot. No, it's more, I think, to activate his rook and get him somewhere. And moving his bishop here is kind of bad, so he didn't have a good spot to really put it, so he's moving it somewhere, I suppose. I proceed to move my queen over, partially because I want, honestly, you know, I'm not quite sure. I guess I'm putting a pin on this queen. In hindsight, I really don't know exactly. Like, I'm still keeping this pin that I want. I guess I'm attacking his bishop, but would I really want to take his bishop in exchange for losing the pin? I don't know if it's worth it. That pin's pretty powerful. So I'm not totally sure where I want to go with that, or what I'm really trying to do either. But it seemed, I don't know. I'm not going to try and talk out of my ass about something that I don't remember why I did it. So he proceeds to move down, get a nice pivot square, get extra offense on that pawn. It's still poisoned. If he puts his bishop down there instead of his queen, I just pin the bishop to his queen, and then he's really stuck. Then one rook is capitalizing on 3 pieces. So it's a nice little foothold for him. It's going to be impossible for me to get rid of that at this point, but he's fighting a losing battle at this point with his position. His pieces are all either pinned or tied up, or not even playing. His rook over in the corner doesn't have anything good to do. And I choose now to go ahead and take this pawn, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm finally getting the pressure on this rook that I wanted. What can he really do about it? I mean, if I go up and take it, he's forced to take, I can take, he can take, I go up in exchange, and I got this pawn. If he wants to go and defend it, okay, it's defended. I can't take it with the rook, I lose my queen, so I'll just defend my queen. And it pretty much boils down to, no matter what he's going to do at this point, he's going to, at the very least, lose out on an exchange of knight for rook. And in a game where I'm already up, what am I up, 3 pawns? I'm up 3 pawns. My king is more advanced to help play into the late game, and I'm also going to be going up a minimum of 1 more exchange. That's going to be too much to bear at this point. His pieces are all coordinated on a poison pawn, and he actually ended up resigning the game at this point. So the game is over, and I'm not quite sure how he could really respond from here. He can't move this rook. He can't get out of the pin. I don't know. You know, I can take that either way I want. It's all bad news for him at this point. So enough for him to decide that he wants to end the game, and that's where we stand, ladies and gentlemen. So it was definitely challenging at the start, having to deal with a couple of pieces in my face and having my castle all sort of messed up. I think I made a couple of slow moves myself, but we were able to overcome with a couple of sneaky little tactics by getting his queen to get out of the play of field, forcing an opening into his king side, and then kind of forcing him into a bad exchange against his bishop with my knight, so I could capitalize and take a couple of pawns, and really mess his position up much more than my position was messed up. So, but that's really the goal, you know, when he spends multiple turns moving down pieces for the sake of a pawn, and I didn't spend any of that time, it just developed, it should result in some extra offense. And with good play, you can make up for it. So, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you in some more. Take it easy, everybody. Catch you later. Peace.